So last Thursday, today's Monday, December 8th, Attorney General Pam Bondi released a memo, or it was leaked, uh, ordering the FBI to make a list of American extremists and people who hold anti-American ideologies or whatever. Couple things right off the bat before we dive into the details. Um, the the characteristics that Pam Bondi lists in this memo would cover anywhere between 80 to 100 million Americans. It's anybody who expresses any displeasure with Donald Trump in any way, shape, or form in anything that he has done. But right at the top is Antifa. First of all, second of all, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, and Donald Trump have so hollowed out the FBI and the Department of Justice that even if they were operating at full capacity, you can't physically conduct surveillance on 80 or 100 million people. You just can't do it. And so it's like, on the one hand, the Attorney General of the United States putting out this kind of a document, whether she put it out intentionally or whether it was leaked. I'm reading an article from Ken Clippenstein. It's incredibly dangerous for the Attorney General of the United States to be speaking in these terms. On the other hand, it's like they couldn't even get a felony indictment from a grand jury against a guy who threw a sandwich and it was on videotape. And then when they did indict that guy on misdemeanors and took him to trial, the jury acquitted him. So that's the level of competence that we're dealing with here. And Kash Patel doesn't seem like he can be bothered to do anything than make sure that FBI agents give his girlfriend's drunk friends rides home while he and his girlfriend are flying all over the country on his FBI jet, going to concerts and UFC events. And the incompetence is the only thing that gives me like any level of comfort in the fact that the Attorney General of the United States is now making it official policy of the DOJ and the FBI to target and track anywhere between 80 to 100 million Americans simply because they disagree with President Trump. That's incredibly dangerous. Fortunately, these people are all stupid and don't know what they're doing. I mean, we got to take the silver linings where we find them. So reading from Ken Clippenstein's article, you can find his website at kenclippenstein.com. He's doing great work. Ken Clippenstein has been doing amazing work this year. And the information that he's getting, the things that people are leaking to him, the reporting that he's doing on them, he's doing absolutely tremendous work. Attorney General Pam Bondi is ordering the FBI to, quote, compile a list of groups or entities engaging in acts that may constitute domestic terrorism, close quote, according to a Justice Department memo published here exclusively. So it was leaked to Ken Clippenstein. The target is those expressing, quote, opposition to law and immigration enforcement, extreme views in favor of mass migration and open borders, adherence to radical gender ideology, as well as anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, and anti-Christianity. So, and Ken notes this here, that language echoes the so-called indicators of terrorism. All of those are political beliefs. Everything that I just listed is a political belief that falls squarely under the First Amendment protections for freedom of expression. But those indicators line up quite nicely with Donald Trump's National Security Presidential Memorandum number 7, NSPM 7, which Pam Bondi's memo says it's intended to implement NSPM 7, where NSPM 7 was a declaration of war against anyone who isn't MAGA. This is the war plan for how the government will wage it on a tactical level. But let's go through that list again. The targets of this memo are those expressing opposition to law and immigration enforcement, extreme views in favor of mass migration and open borders, adherence to radical gender ideology. So if you're trans, you're a fucking terrorist now, as well as anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, and anti-Christianity. So if you disagree with America, if you disagree with capitalism, if you disagree with Christianity, if you think that people should be able to live the gender that they identify with, and if you have a problem with how ICE and CBP are conducting immigration raids, you are a terrorist. You are a domestic terrorist, according to Pam Bondi and the Trump administration. In addition to compiling a list of undesirables, Bondi directs the FBI to enhance the capabilities and publicity of its tip line in order to more aggressively solicit tips from the American public on other Americans. That's right. That's right. To that end, Bondi also directs the FBI to establish a cash reward system for information leading to the identification and arrest of leadership figures within these purported domestic terrorist organizations. The payouts don't end there. Justice Department grants are now to prioritize funding programs for state and local law enforcement to go after these domestic terrorists. Anyone who disagrees with Trump, America, capitalism, ICE and border protection, border patrol, and Christianity. So now, if let's say that you are a gender non-conforming atheist socialist with blue hair and a septum ring, and all of your family members are MAGA. Pam Bondi is setting up a tip line so that all of your family members can get paid for reporting you to the FBI because you don't like capitalism, you don't like Donald Trump, you don't like socialism, or you don't like America, and you subscribe to radical gender theories, I mean, here's the thing. I can't wait for them to publicize the phone number for this tip line. I will make TikToks about that multiple times a week. I will put that number on the screen of my TikToks, and I will encourage everyone who watches my videos to, you know, if you have a Make America Great Again, America First creepy uncle who you know watches trans porn or has a Grindr account, those are now anti-American activities. Those are anti-American domestic terrorist activities. And so I will strongly encourage everyone to report these MAGA domestic terrorists who spend so much of their free time watching transgender pornography, the search results for which are highest in red states. So there are a lot of MAGA men in red states who subscribe to radical gender ideology theory that pose a direct threat to Donald Trump and his administration and the safety and security of the United States of America in December of 2025. And so every MAGA guy who watches trans porn is a direct threat and needs to be reported to Pam Bondi and Kash Patel as posing a direct threat to the United States for subscribing to radical gender ideology theories and consuming unimaginable amounts of transgender pornography. Keep me posted, guys, in the comments as to when they publicize the phone number for this tip line. I'm going to spread that shit far and wide and encourage it to be used a lot. Fuck these people.